How you doing today, King?
My friend, how you doing?
I'm blessed and highly favored, man. I'm honored to be on this call with you, brother. How you doing?
It's my honor, man. You know, if more guys like you would leverage your commercial success and your cultural impact to empower our people, we'd be free.
Amen. Well,
And I appreciate this time, and I appreciate you trying to promote good health. You know, a lot of our problems are self-imposed. A lot of our solutions are inside our realities. And so, you know, there's a lot we can do for ourselves. And if we don't do it, we don't need an enemy. If you're going to kill yourself, you don't need an enemy to kill you.
that's right. Amen. I say that all the time. We talk about COVID-19, and we talk about everything, but how to, how to build up our health and our immune system.
Yes, sir.
We see them promote everything but that, and that's the main thing, is trying to be healthy and make sure that what we intake into our body is things that are helping us live instead of killing us.
That's where it starts, because food has been weaponized.
Hmm.
And now we are really ingesting and digesting poison and feeding it to our children. It's a very serious thing. And the more you learn, you know, Dick Gregory got on to this in the 60s. Dick came out of the civil rights movement and focused on health. He lost all that weight, stopped smoking, stopped drinking, and started promoting health. And people thought he had lost his mind. But the reality is that our struggle is very, very sophisticated.
Hmm.
And our survival requires in-depth analysis and a comprehensive response. And it's not just about jobs. It's not just about voting for the right people. You know, we need a holistic solution. And that's why when guys like you talk the way you talk, a whole group of young people begin thinking differently. And that's freedom. Freedom starts in the mind. And no one can give you that. You've got to demand that of yourself. So I appreciate you. I'm honored to be with you, because I read about you guys. I have a great admiration for the guys that come out of the hip hop community, the hip hop generation, because you see, I came right out of the civil rights era, and we went straight from civil rights activism to politics. And the reality is, our politics is not independent politics. We are basically controlled by larger political machines. And as a result of that, we've got more blacks in office today than we've ever had before. But we got more black people in jail, more black people unemployed, more black people dying at the hands of police than we've ever had before. So I love what you guys have done, because starting in the 80s, the hip hop, if you look at it from an economic standpoint, hip hop taught us that if they will not play your music, if they will not sell your records, if they will not support your artists, do it yourself.
Exactly.
Do it yourself. Now, what happened was, we did it so well, they came along and snatched us up. You know,
That's right.
that's a different conversation. But the model for self-sufficiency and the model for self-determination came more from the hip-hop community than it did from the civil rights community or the church community. So I salute you. When Nipsey Hussle died, I did a video series around his principles to teach his fans what he really stood for, and what kinds of things you have to do if you really admire his legacy.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Well, once
So
again,
thank you. Anyway, I say all that just to say
listen.
thank you.
Well, listen, man. I appreciate it. If when you get some level of admiration and praise from those who have paved the way and who've been doing the work, before you, and continue to do the work before you, it's nothing short of a blessing. I'm just happy that I'm able to be a vessel and have experience and have a platform and have a voice that actually, people care to listen to.
Yeah.
So I'm just
How'd you get
blessed.
started? That's what I want to know. How'd you get started? See, I might have been able to do what you do, but I didn't know. I wouldn't know how to get started. How did you get started?
Well, I think for me, I got started young, and in the late 80s when I started rapping, and then, you know, in the late 90s, or early 90s, I would say, like early 92, 93 is when I
Mhm.
started rapping as a young teenager. And it was something that I loved to do. And then from there on, you know, as it matured, a lot of my friends they were into the industry, and we had a few connections to people they know, and you know, they would tell them about me and say that I was good. Yo, he's good, you know, coming from the Bronx. And it just kind of like, I think I was kind of lucky, you know. I just happened to
Mhm.
have
Mhm.
meet the right people at the right time and just be really involved in it, you know, and have an opportunity to do it. So, and the passion to actually do it.
Yeah, yeah. But now you've expanded beyond music. You're really more of an activist than an artist, correct?
I call myself a raptivist.
All right, I've heard that before.
You know,
Raptivist.
yes, 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 sir. So I think for me, just understanding the power of hip hop, understanding the voice, and having different mentors like Harry Belafonte, and being around different situations. You know, I think my first introduction into activism came from Trayvon Martin. You know, Trayvon
Yeah,
Martin's
yeah.
case, and I think that was the first thing that moved me to utilize my voice for activism and what was going on in our community. And from there, you know, I met with the people at the organization called the Gathering for Justice, which is Harry
Mhm.
Belafonte's organization, and I was doing work inside prisons and detention centers, dealing with at-risk youth. I'm actually formerly incarcerated, and I was convicted in the late 90s, 1999 exactly, for a crime that I actually never committed, a robbery charge in
Uh,
which I spent 7 years in prison, and I was sentenced to 7 to 14 years in prison. So I was a young boy, you know. I had just got my record deal in 1999, and then right when I got my record deal, I ended up being sentenced to 7 to 14 years in prison. So it
hmm,
was pretty much like snatched from me. And being incarcerated, I started to see the ills of the system and the structure, and how young black people from marginalized communities, especially young black and brown boys, are, are targeted, are pretty much groomed for prison. You know,
right,
I didn't understand that until I actually got to prison. I didn't understand how much the structure, even of our school systems, the way our community is set up, is pretty much the, pathway to prison. It
right.
is the exact, pretty much the same structure. So I started to see that, and I was like, wow, this is really crazy, because in our communities, as young boys, growing up in poor, poverty-stricken communities, crime is one of the first things that we identify with success, because as a young boy, I never seen successful black men that didn't do anything but crime. The only
Yeah,
division
yeah.
of success that I seen was the drug dealer. He had the money I wanted, he had the girl I wanted, he had the car. There was no scientist next door to me. There was no lawyer that lived next door, no doctors. So the only thing I seen as a way out was somebody who was in the streets hustling. So that was
Right,
my first identification of success. And so we wanted to emulate that. And then what happened was, when those hustlers went to jail and they came home, they had it as a badge of honor. Everybody celebrated the guy who came home from prison. He had muscles, his skin was clear, the girls wanted to date him, they talked about him, so you praise that,
right,
so it pretty much was us, pretty much told us, in order to be successful, or to be loved, and be celebrated, we had to go to prison. This is what the mentality was as a young boy in our community. So we felt that was a rite to passage. Prison was a rite to passage for
right,
us.
right,
And as we started to realize that, and when I went to jail, and I realized that we had been lied to, we had been told stuff that wasn't factual, and it was by design. It wasn't by accident. People had told us these things on purpose to continue to, to send us to these prisons, to oversaturate these prisons, because we were pretty much the prophet. So all of those things, coming out of the jail with that mind state, understanding what we were facing, understanding that I myself, even through lyrics and things that I talked about, was perpetuating a lifestyle that was going to do nothing but send these young kids that was following me down, a trail of destruction. So I wanted to change that when I came home. you know,
Hmm.
and I just and all of the things just ultimately led me to activism, and I feel like this is my calling on my life. So I utilize my skill as an artist and hip hop artist, and I combine it with my passion and my life's calling to, to be able to fight for what's right and for fight for justice.
That's great, man. I really admire you because you could have given up. You know, when I was in sixth grade, I grew up in the suburbs. I didn't grow up in the city. I was born in Brooklyn, but my mother was from Jersey and my dad was from Brooklyn. So they decided to move me to Jersey, so I have a better shot. And when I was in sixth grade, I went to an all-black school with all white teachers. And my
Mm.
sixth grade teacher told me if I ever finished high school, I was going to jail. I
You
was
know what's
12.
crazy about that?
Told me
They
straight to
told
my
me
face.
he told me that in third grade. At least you made it to sixth grade. At least you made it to sixth grade. They told me I'd be dead or in jail in third grade. My third grade teacher, I was one of the smartest kids in my class. I had a
Right,
90 plus average.
right,
But I was energetic like most black young boys. We moving around, we doing
right,
this,
right,
you
right,
know. And I wanted to, when I finished my work, I was a little more energetic than everybody else. And he used to get so mad with me. I remember he pulled me by my ear one day, pulled me in the hallway and was cursing at me. White man. He had so much vitriol in his voice. And he called me names. He called me MFers and niggers. And he said, "You'll be dead or in jail before you 18 years old." And I
in
never
third
forget
grade.
that.
I
Third
never
grade,
forgot it either. Never forgot it
and
either.
he
And
sent me to a psychiatrist. And I sat in the psychiatrist. He told him I was something wrong with me, but the psychiatrist sat with me for about 2 weeks and said, "There's nothing wrong with this young man. He's perfectly fine."
yeah,
You know.
yeah. So when I was 19, I was in college and
Mm-hmm.
I was in downtown Newark and I saw this white guy chasing this young black guy down the street. So as the white guy chased the black guy, I chased the white guy. And when I caught the white guy, I knocked him out. And the next thing I knew, there was a thump on my head. What turned out was the white guy was a cop, and he was chasing this young black guy who was accused of shoplifting. And so when I beat the cops arrested me. And when I sat in the jail cell, I looked at myself and said, you know what, maybe my sixth grade teacher was right. Because here I
Oh
am.
man,
Here
here
I am
you
in
are
the
in the
jail
cell.
cell. Yeah. And I didn't serve time, but I served probation. But the reason I can relate to you now is because you have to make a decision to follow a path and not let an incident define the rest of your life. And that's what you've done.
Well,
And that's what I've tried to do.
I appreciate it, man. That was my goal, man. I said when I went to prison, one of my main things was I was never going to become prison. I was never going to adapt to my surroundings. I
Right,
was going to make my surroundings adapt to me.
right,
And it was not my final stop. I said I'm
right,
not going to get comfortable here. I'm not going to adapt to this because this is not my reality.
right.
This is just a path. This is a place along my path that I have to learn from.
Yeah,
And that's what
yeah,
I did with that. And everywhere I went, I didn't get involved with the prison politics. I didn't get involved in what was going on in prison. I exercised, I did sports, I read, I wrote music. I did things. I said every day that I don't learn or grow, then the prison system wins. They
yeah,
get to beat me every day that I'm not evolving and I'm making sure that when I return to society that I'm a productive member. Then the prison system beat me, and I refused to lose. You
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. Well, prison, as you know, prison goes beyond the walls of the actual prison.
That's a
And
fact.
the reason I think you and I are talking now, the reason we have so much in common is because there's an economic prison beyond the criminal justice prison. And
Amen.
what I learned in my own life was that I was in a prison of credit card debt and spending above my means and using money inappropriately. And so I was able to move from that to where I am today. I'm on the board of a bank that lends money to other banks that wouldn't lend me money, you know.
Wow.
So
That's
I learned how to break out of the financial prison. Now, of course, America still owes us money. We worked 246 years for free,
that's
then
right.
another 100 years, for almost free. But until America pays us reparations, which is not going to happen tomorrow, my theory is we've got to take advantage of whatever tools and whatever opportunities we have right now and not fall for the trick. And, Martin Luther King taught us about all of the negative uses of the word black.
Mm-hmm.
And then we wake up to the idea that the day after Thanksgiving has been called Black Friday, basically by white-owned companies who don't want us to know that Black Friday is really designed to help them be in the black and help us be in the red.
Mm.
So from an accounting perspective, you see, if you're making money and if you have more money than you owe, you're in the black. But if you're losing money, they say you're in the red. So to be in the black means that you own more than you owe, that you spend less than you earn, your assets are greater than your liabilities. So they come along with Black Friday, and black people line up all night, Thursday night, to have the right to go into a store to help the store owners get rich, and the credit card companies charge high interest. So we decided this year to expose it and to come against it. And so we're flipping the switch, and we are raising up in the Black Friday, inviting black people to not make rich people richer on Black Friday, but take control of our finances, invest in black-owned businesses, develop a strategy for dealing with our credit. And that's why I appreciate your endorsement, because that's what In the Black Friday is about.
Okay, yeah, man. I appreciate you even having this, because there are things that we need. These are things that we definitely need to focus on. We are definitely imprisoned to debt,
Right.
and overspending and just being consumers and not figuring out how do we make our money make money, and how do we continue, like you said, to make sure our assets are definitely way more than our liabilities, man.
Right.
That we
Right.
earn, we spending less than we earn,
Right. Right.
So
So it's about strategy, and
mhm.
we have a tendency, not just us, but the whole culture is geared towards spending emotionally, spending to look better, feel better, and act better. But the fact is, I saw something on Instagram one time and had a picture of a rich person, had a picture of a poor person, and the rich person was dressed like a poor person, and the poor person was dressed like the rich person. And so I and you and others, I think it's our responsibility to help our people develop strategies to make money work for us, so that we don't have to work until we die for money. And that's my commitment, And look, I'm a preacher. My job, I'm the pastor of a church, and I've been there 30 years, and the church has been, according to as churches go, the church was successful. 15 years, we built houses for low and moderate income people. We built a health clinic. We bought an abandoned warehouse and built a health clinic so that anybody could see a doctor, whether they had insurance or not. We built a senior citizen housing project. We started a foster care and adoption company to take in black children into loving homes. And we built a brand new church. And I looked around after 15 years and realized that the church itself was doing great. The buildings were great. The church's budget was great. I was doing great. But the members of the church and the surrounding community weren't doing that great themselves. They're still living paycheck to paycheck. They're still using check cashing joints, paying high fees to cash a check. They're still using payday loans. So I decided in 2005, this was year 15, that I was going to put my focus on the financial health of the members as a priority, and not the financial health of the church. And so we started helping people deal with their debt, helping people pay their bills on time, helping people grow their businesses. We had a black-owned drugstore right around the corner from the church. And the people didn't go to our church, but they came to me and said, Reverend, we're not doing well. The community's not supporting us. So one Sunday, I asked all of my members to go to that black-owned drugstore and buy something, whether they needed it or not. Buy a toothbrush, buy shaving cream, buy something. And we bought almost everything that was in the store to support that black-owned drugstore. And for me, that's what Black Lives Matter is really about. It's not about slogans and hashtags and marches only. Now, the slogans are important. The hashtags are important. The marches are important. But when I started as an activist, we used to use the word consciousness. You know, we would do things to raise people's consciousness. You guys call it being woke. Well, I was woke and I was broke, and I couldn't donate money to anybody. I couldn't support anything. So what I want is, I want us to be woke but not broke. I want us to be able to support our own institutions, pay for our own marches, and not depend on the same person who you say is your enemy to finance your movement.
Exactly.
So that's what I'm about.
That's right. And that's one thing that, you know, my organization Until Freedom is very big on. We can't ask to be financed by the same people we fighting. You know,
That's exactly right.
it makes no sense. So, you know, we're big on us supporting each other, you know, and investing in our own freedom and our own liberation.
Right.
You know, so I appreciate what you're doing. So what is it exactly you're going to be doing tomorrow? Let the
Okay.
people know.
Thank you. You know, for 15 years, we've been teaching people how to take control of their finances. We've got books, workbooks, curriculum. We've got a program. But what I've discovered is that, you know, some people are under so much pressure. They really don't have the time or the tolerance to read a book, go through a program. They need help right now. So what I decided to do was to pull together the people that offer help to our people. Some they know about, some they don't know about, and to put them in one place at one time and to call it a debt-a-thon. So what does that mean? That means if you got so much debt, like I used to, that you don't even open your mail because you know what they want and you can't even pay the minimum payments, bring that debt tomorrow. We've got professional, licensed, nonprofit debt counselors who will work with you, negotiate with your creditors to work out an affordable way for you to get out of debt. If you're in foreclosure, if your job went under because of COVID-19 and you're behind on your mortgage, or you're about to get behind on your mortgage, tomorrow we've got licensed, professional, nonprofit foreclosure counselors. You can call them. They'll take your name. They will call your lender for you and work out something so that you can not lose your home to foreclosure. If your credit score is so low, you can't even buy a piece of bread on credit. We have a partnership with a company that will help you build your credit by investing in yourself and borrowing from yourself and reporting your payments to yourself to the credit bureau to increase your credit score. If you have any financial challenge at all, tomorrow from 11 to 4, you log into our website, you sign up, you click the area that you're interested in, student loans, foreclosure, needing a debt reduction plan, and we will help you tomorrow connect with a solution and a professional that will help you for free. Now, understand something. This is not a moneymaker. This is not a fundraiser. I don't get a salary. This is what I do to give back because I've been fortunate. In some ways, I've been lucky like you. I've been blessed by God, and I've got 13 streams of income, and this is not one of them. And so tomorrow, I'm using all of my influence, all of my contacts, all of my resources to invite people to meet me online at mydfree.org, sign up for the debt-a-thon, and just give us 15 minutes. If someone gives us 15 minutes of their time, we will connect them with somebody who can help them professionally understand their options for dealing with their financial situation.
Yes, that sounds like something I'm gonna have to tune into that.
Tune in.
You know, definitely.
Tune in.
But everybody tell them where to find it again.
mydfree.org, mydfree.org. And so two things will happen from 11 to 4. Thing number one, we'll have speakers talking about credit, talking about banking, talking about real estate. We've got Black real estate agents there to talk about how to invest in real estate, right? But then while the talk is going on, we've got exhibit booths where you can connect and talk to people one-on-one, confidentially, about your personal situation. So it's education and it's assistance, all for free from 11 to 4 tomorrow.
11 to 4 tomorrow. Sign up at mydfree.org from
Yes,
11
sir.
to 4 Eastern Standard Time. You know, we're going to have this brilliant man, and along with a lot of experts, who are going to be pretty much helping you get out of debt. If you have
That's
debt
right.
that's overwhelming, you don't even know what to do with it, these brothers are going to do everything they can. Say, give them 15 minutes. Give
15
them
minutes.
15 minutes. We need you to be woke and not broke. We trying to make sure it makes sense.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know?
So stop by, man. Hit me up. Let us know you're there. And I really appreciate your support. But more importantly, I appreciate what you stand for. If we had more men and women of all ages who are as committed to our people as you are, then we'd have less nonsense and we'd have a better chance of being free. You know, what we were taught in the 60s, we were taught that people will only do to you what you let them do.
That's right.
That if you stand up, they can't ride your back. If you respect yourself, it doesn't matter what they think of you. And you represent, you know, I mean, you're a young guy, but you got a 60s spirit. You represent that spirit, man, that gave us the strength to tear down some of the most oppressive barriers any people have ever faced in this country. And you're bringing that spirit to the modern age. It's more complicated now in terms of the way it functions, but the simple truth doesn't change, and that is that if you've got a freedom spirit on the inside, you can break the back of oppression on the outside. So thank you.
Well, amen, man. Once again, I need y'all to sign up at mydfree.org tomorrow from 11 to 4 Eastern Standard Time. He's going to be teaching you about debt relief, credit building, all types of things.
Yes, sir.
You know, all things that we as Black people need to know to be woke and not broke. You know?
Woke and not broke, man.
Woke and not broke, because so many of us have been woke and broke, man.
Yes,
you
sir.
know, now it's about financial empowerment along with the unity. So definitely, brother, I want to say I appreciate you.
Thank you
for the work that you do and continue to do, and you know your contributions over the years. And I'm glad that whatever it is that I'm doing, you see some positivity in that, and I thank you for that as well.
Well, when you need my support, just holler. I'll be right here for you the way you're here for me. All right.
All right, brother. Thank
All
you.
right.
Everybody,
God
make
bless
sure
you.
you tune in 11 to 4 to sign
Yes,
up.
sir. Come on by.
mydfree.org. Come
Give me
on by.
15 minutes. Give me
Give him
15
15
minutes.
minutes, and he'll give you the world.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right.
I'm out.
Thank you, King.
All right.
Appreciate you.